Hi, and welcome to the Human Side of Business podcast. I'm Ange DR, CEO and co-founder of Intuitive Performance. I'm a performance coach, HR professional, whole person leadership facilitator, and your host. The Human Side of Business podcast is fueled by the genuine curiosity to understand how personal characteristics and skills can be leveraged to drive individual and team performance, tangible outcomes, and ultimately organizational success within business. Each podcast is devoted to sharing knowledge, expanding our learning edges, and exploring the trends in corporate culture towards growing the emotional intelligence of organizations. I'm so glad you're here. A warm welcome to Dr. Deborah, otherwise known as Dr. DJ Johnson-Blake. I am so excited to have her here. She is the CEO of the Writing Pad LLC, which is a writing, editing, and consulting firm that focuses on helping clients solve their writing and editing challenges. She is tenacious. She is extroverted. She is the definition of a leader and provides personal and professional development training and time management coaching. She's an award-winning associate professor, a dissertation research chair, and subject matter expertise at Liberty University. She is a servant leader whose life purpose is simply serving others. Isn't that beautiful? I have to pause there for a second. I loved reading this. She's honored to have been selected as the 2021 American Businesswoman of the American Business Women's Association, otherwise known as ABWA, and a 2021 top 10 businesswomen of ABWA. So she was just raking in the awards in 2021, and this continued. She currently serves as the 2022-2023 ABWA Ambassador Steering Committee Representative, and she's devoted to her community in Douglas County, being the charter chapter of ABWA as well. She is a commerce diplomat and is 2020 Diplomat of the Year and celebrated her 2020 Encourage Award recipient as well. The piece about Dr. Deborah that I'm really excited to share is that she is a self-proclaimed time management diva, and I can totally get behind this, and is committed to helping people improve productivity and efficiency. She's also a leading authority on time management and has a bestseller out there on Amazon, which is called 52 Time Management Hacks. And then a personal note even, which kind of shows Dr. DJ's character, spoiler alert. On a Saturday, you may find her cooking a delicious meal or hosting a dance party to Shaka Kai's I'm Every Woman, because living life on purpose is her mantra. And I have goosebumps because so much of this aligns, Dr. DJ. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, and I appreciate that introduction.
Of course, of course. And we need to take a moment to do our happy dance because we're here and we're on the podcast. And we're raising our vibrations through time management and leadership today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am excited and look forward to our conversation.
Likewise. So let's dig in. Tell me, how did you stumble upon this? Like, oftentimes we don't kind of roll out of bed and I'm like, I want to be an authority on time management. Like, that's not really, so help us kind of get into this topic with you as to how it became your passion.
Oh my goodness, you will never believe this. So in the early 90s, I've always been obsessed with time and doing things on time and ensuring that people can do that too. But I used to work for a law firm, so I was a legal assistant. I wanted to have this fabulous legal career, but one day I forgot to file a complaint, a personal injury complaint with the courts. And therefore, if you don't file a complaint within 2 years of the statutory limitation, the insurance companies have an opportunity to sue the attorney.
Okay.
So that happened to me. I went to my file and actually had the complaint already drawn up, just didn't have it signed and take it to the courthouse.
Oh, gosh.
And I was devastated by that.
I can only imagine.
And of course, the person that I worked for was as well. And I felt so bad that I resigned. And
Hey.
after that, yeah, I resigned because I felt like I did not do my job the way I should have. And this was a big boo boo and could be a monetary nightmare.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's why we have insurance, of course. Everyone has the insurance, but still, I felt horrible. And from that time, I just felt compelled to talk about time management. And
Right.
so, of course, that ripped into my master's program and my thesis and my doctoral program. And so I wrote a little book from a dissertation and hey, it's been on and popping ever since. So
So,
that's how it started.
Dr. DJ, my giggles or my laughter is coming from a place of endearment because as I'm hearing you speak, I'm wrapping my head around this, that based on one error of not filing a claim, it brought you to almost your life, not almost, your life's purpose is what I'm hearing, master's, dissertation, and writing a book based on one error.
Based on one era. That's deep, isn't it? When you really think about it, never really thought about it like that. But that's the type of person I am. And
Beautiful.
so I turned, an unfortunate situation to my advantage, although it took a 30-year, run to get to this point, because I've done several things in between. But time management has always been part of the foundation. And then maybe about 6, 7 years ago, it came to fruition the way it has. So, and I just have to say this, even around my community, I'm known as a time management diva. And you've seen my videos where I go, hey, it's Time Management Tuesday, right? If nobody knows my name, they know I'm a time management diva and they know I do this. So when they see me, it's a time management diva. And so when I see that, I know I have served my purpose
Mm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and that people are listening.
mm-hmm,
And whatever little nugget they can capture out of what I'm talking about,
mm-hmm.
even if it's something they heard before, because we have to hear things several times in order for it to stick and for us to really get in the habit of doing something that's beneficial for us. Because all of my tips are not good for everybody. Everybody uses different strategies on how they're going to manage their time, be efficient, and be productive. But if I can play a small role in that, I'm happy.
Absolutely. And I like where you're coming in from because, you're identifying that, yes, you have expertise in this, but take what you will from it and utilize the information that I'm lending you or providing you with and make it your own so that it's something that stick. I'm hearing like what's coming up for me, the word that's coming up is create a habit based on what you hear essentially from time management and what you glean from your offerings. So that's amazing. I was all over your websites and your Facebook, and all the stuff on Amazon. So, Dr. DJ, help me understand if I'm a leader and looking to kind of unravel my habits of time management, like where do I start? Like, how do I even embark that on that journey?
That's a good question. And every leader is different, but I think everyone needs to have foundational principles when it comes to time management. And so, one of the things that I've done is develop a methodology, so to speak, and that's simply by using the acronym leadership, just so people can understand and kind of remember. And
Yes.
so when you think about leadership and how it's spelled out, you think about L for listing priorities, E for evaluating tasks, A for allocating time, D for delegating effectively, E for eliminating distractions,
Mm,
R for taking those regular breaks from work,
mm.
S from setting those realistic goals, um, H for harness technology, and I also like to say I for controlling those interruptions, and P for always taking personal time too. While we love leading others and building up, upcoming leaders, we still have to take some personal time for ourselves, which is also taking a break during the day. But with that leadership methodology, so to speak, is nothing out there in the universe. It's just mine, but it's things that I use as a leader. And of course, it is always effective for us to prioritize because we all are juggling many balls, right? And so
Absolutely.
just distinguishing what's important right now, what's
Mm,
important today, what's important this week. Even though
mhm,
we have this huge list, let's focus on the now. And the other
mm,
things can go to the back burner. They'll come to the front burner when it's the right time and if
mm,
they are urgent enough for that.
mm. If it's
Yeah.
okay, I'd like to bounce around this because there's so much there. First, I want to acknowledge that this is the first time that I've seen an acronym where it focuses on internal self, task orientated stuff, i.e., the organizational priority type stuff, and then also focusing from a leadership lens. So, really enjoying where this is taking me. And as soon as I get offline, I think I'm going to have to buy your book because you got me convinced already. Um, I always like
Now,
to
now, let me preference. This is not in the book, but I'm going to put something out there about it now.
TJ, that has to be the book. What's going on? So yeah, so you said a few other things that really resonated with me in the sense of, making sure that you're delegating appropriately and ensuring the thing that struck me quite profusely was you said something to the effect of there's prioritization, but you also have to keep it kind of within your scope of what you want to accomplish that week. And it doesn't have to just do with your tasks. And I think as leaders, what I see a lot of from a coaching perspective, by the way, I can see your coaching coming into this and it's amazing. Thank you. So I see as and feel as a leader myself, and I see in other leaders that I coach as well, that, we're focusing on the day-to-day checklists and the actual visionary or strategic priorities are in the back burner. And we're like, oh, crow, I need to look at that on a quarterly basis. And what I'm hearing from you is no, 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 no. You need to be able to prioritize. So it's almost like you have a blend. You have a blend of what tasks would look like, and you'd have a blend of what your strategy would look like. And you're carving out appropriate times to do so that are lacking distractions.
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Um, the issue that many of us face, and I have my challenges too, even as the time management expert, but all leaders do, is trying to first determine what's critical to
Mm,
your mission, to your
mm,
vision. A lot of things we do outside of what our mission is, whether it's our personal mission, whether it's our organizational mission,
yep.
or our vision and values. Not saying that we can't do anything outside of that, but if you have your strategic plan already lined up for the year, the 3 year, the 5 year, what are you doing to make sure you can get to that
Mm,
outcome that you want to do? Are
mm,
you doing the right things? And a lot of
mm.
times we're not. What's on our list really doesn't need to be there. And as a leader, I talked about delegating. It really doesn't need to be on your list. That's when you delegate to others, even if you have a small team, even if you're a team of one. And you know how you do that? You collaborate with other leaders who have skill sets that are better than yours that
I
can
love
help
that.
you do those things. And then vice versa. Because,
Hmm.
even if you're
Hmm.
bartering, I have a skill set that I can do better. I can do it faster as opposed to someone who's not good at it and they do it slower. And then what? That's more time gone, right? So collaborate with others, even in your same industry, just to, pull each other up and be the best that you can be. That's the bottom line for me. Doing your best and being your best self, whatever that
Absolutely.
definition is to you.
Mm. Coming back into the time management from a leadership perspective, a lot of times, you know what it's like. We're jumping into day to day. There's a lot of things that are asked of us, a lot of meetings. We could be back to back to back to back. What is your best advice or tips or tricks as a leader, how do we have that balance and honor that leadership acronym?
Well, I'm going to say something about meetings. Not the biggest fan of them all the time because a lot of times it may not be necessary. And more importantly, it may not be necessary for that specific leader to be in the meeting, which of
Mm,
course is time taken away that could be spent on whatever those strategic, goals are that you're focusing on. So with meetings, I always like, if I have that opportunity, sometimes we don't, and we might have to attend them, but I always say, what's the purpose of the meeting? You want to see the agenda, first of all, to see if what you have to offer is necessary for that particular meeting, or it is
mm,
something that you can do through an email,
mm,
send, you know, to the facilitator or coordinator, and not directly be in the meeting. So
mhm,
that's one thing about meetings for me. So not every you don't have to be a part of every meeting just because you're part of the leadership team. Depends on what you have to convey.
mhm,
So that's one thing for me. And for evaluating those tasks, it's always about the importance and the impact on the company and the mission. I still go back to the mission and
mm,
aligning to those strategic goals because that's the bottom line. I was working at a academic institution, and I tell you, my strategic plan was in my drawer because that was my Bible for making sure that I was on task. And a lot of times people don't go back to look at the strategic plan all the time or regularly. And that's how you know you're going to hit your benchmark. So that's one thing leaders should do regularly. More than it's like almost monthly or even weekly, depending on what your department is responsible for. So of course, reevaluating and evaluating tasks because they change from time to time.
mhm,
Depending on the importance, as you know.
mhm,
Um, of course, time actual time management is really knowing how long does it take you to do certain tasks or your team to do certain tasks. You have to know this, and you have to know the skill set of your team to
mhm,
see what they can accomplish for you in that amount of time that you allow for it.
mhm, mhm. Amazing. And so, coming at this from a mindset perspective, what have you learned in the past 30 years? Like, is there a switch that you have to flip? Like, how do you get to that most of the time proficiency around organizing your time and staying on top of things?
It wasn't easy to change the mindset because that's a whole paradigm shift. I don't care what topic it is, but for me, personally, I had to get to a place where I know that I cannot do it all, no matter
Mm.
how hard I try. Yeah, I tried, and of course, there's always sacrifices in your life when you do try to do it all, whether it's personal or professional. So for me to get to the point I am today, I had to decide what I was not going to do
Mm,
or what I was not going to let stress me out
right.
because this is my focus now. So now it's funny, and I have to digress for just a moment. When I was in a leadership position at the college, um, I put a sign on my door, especially if I'm working on, a task, a project, a proposal, something that needed my undivided attention for a while. I put a sign on my door. If the building is not on fire, do not knock. And so for me, if no one is injured, there's no fire, then it's not as urgent for me based on what I'm working on right now that is very important that I need to achieve.
Mhm.
Now, that might be, a little too much for some, but in my mind, that helped me make sure that I get things done. So if it's not on fire, nobody's hurt, or worse, it's okay. You know what I mean? We still got another day to do it again. But that's just my fun side of me when it comes to that. So I just had to decide what was aligned with my purpose.
Absolutely. And
But
what I'm
that's
hearing
what I
is,
got.
comedy aside, that was a positive boundary. That's what you needed to be able to have that focused time to achieve your goal. And
Awesome.
oftentimes, especially in these times, leaders are a bit fearful to put up boundaries because they don't want to be seen as inaccessible. So I like how you're reframing this in the sense that, hey, it's okay that at some times I'm not going to be accessible, but here's the times that I am accessible. Come on in.
And absolutely. And then even now personally, we're all involved in, community and things of that nature, association boards, I chair them, all of that. But guess what? In order for me to move forward and achieve some different goals, I had to let go of some other things.
Right.
And in that process, in the last year, I started getting people prepared for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Organizations, let them know, hey, after this term or after this, I'm not going to be able to lead this effort. I'm still a member, I'm still here, but I'm in a different capacity.
Right. Right.
And when the expectation for most organizations, most leaders is you're in that position and you're there. And if you do it well or somewhat well, they want you to stay in it. But I want to give other people the opportunity to learn and grow. In order for them to do that, they need to move in these positions, even if we're mentoring and coaching them on the side. So
Absolutely.
that's how I'm able to do more, is to cut back on something else. If I'm doing something new, then something else has to go to the back burner right now.
Learning that approach for yourself, Dr. DJ, how does that make you feel?
Actually, it makes me feel good on most days. But I'm honest with you.
Tell me more.
Because I'm a servant leader and giving is what I do, and I'm passionate about that, from minute things to big things.
Mm.
When I'm talking to someone at an organization that I may have served in a leadership capacity or committee chair capacity, and they're telling me what's going on and what's not happening, I feel bad because I want to say, I want to jump in and say, well, if that doesn't get done, call me, let me know, and I'll see what I can do. And I've done that a couple times. But I'm getting so much better at saying no. No is what I coach. No is what I talk about. I tell other people to say no. No is a complete sentence. We don't always have to have an explanation, but we do, because that's how we are as humans.
Right.
So
as you were speaking, the word that came up to me is freeing, in the sense that as humans and wanting to give, or servant leaders or leaders in general, oftentimes when we say no, that feels like a loss. And what I'm hearing or reading between the lines of what you're saying, Dr. DJ, is it's not really a loss, but it's something that we need to learn, that the word no in some circumstances is a gain. Sorry, go ahead.
I said, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And I had an epiphany myself, in the sense of, I was kind of putting myself in your shoes when you were saying, I feel bad and I want to help. And sometimes I have done it for them. Same, like in the same boat. And I know it's starting to think about it from the perspective of, how can I coach them, or how can I mentor them, versus doing the work for them?
Yeah.
And that's been my biggest lesson from a leadership perspective, is oftentimes, to your point, it's like, okay, well, I can just do it. Or, I need to help them do it. No. When it comes to really focusing on your goals and your priorities, it's helping individuals serve themselves. And I think that's a real definition of servant leadership.
Absolutely. And even when, I'm an acronym queen, okay? But it's freeing yourself. Let's just say that. Freeing yourself, which is that. And then the R is resting and reevaluating. And then the E is empowering those individuals to do the things that you know how to do with your skills, and giving them energy and energizing yourself still by doing what you're meant to do. When
Amazing.
Word free.
Amazing.
So.
And I just want to reiterate the fact, everyone, that Dr. DJ came up with this acronym on the spot, like just right now, based on the word that I've said. I think this is awesome. I'm going to have to consult with you sometimes, be like, hey, I'm doing this leadership thing. How can I get an acronym out there? Sidebar. Anyways, jumping back into the time management from a leadership perspective, what would be the top 3 things that you would want to leave someone with when you think about imparting information around this topic?
Oh, and it's so much that I can impart. But one thing I always want to I tell people, and I would like leaders to know, is know how to take your time back. We give so much of it away, right? So take your time back. Of course, there's things that you can do to do that. Delegate. Delegation is very important. And I know leaders know this, but it is important to delegate consistently in order for you to, reach those new heights and continue to reach your goals. And then last is, don't let others manage your calendar outside of the organization or your assistant, but don't let others manage your calendar.
That's powerful.
Yeah. And I say that because you know how we're always looking, if you're in a meeting, we're looking at our calendar, seeing how we can make something work, right? Listen, we're all supposed to help each other. But when it gets to the point where you as a leader are stressed, even if you don't show it, you're stressed inside. And guess what happens? You don't really get much accomplished, even though you're, running from one thing to the next.
Absolutely.
And so when others are forcing you, and I'm going to use the word forcing you to reevaluate your own calendar on your terms instead of your terms, that's really have to take a look, step back and reassess. And this just made me think about something that I would like to say just in general is we all have those long to-do lists, checklists, tasks, whatever that is. But I also like to focus on my top 3 to 5 only, like I said earlier about, trying to determine what's important and what's urgent. When you have a long list in front of you at one time, it can be overwhelming. And you're jumping from here to there. 3 to 5.
3 to 5. That's it.
3 to 5. 3 to 5, check it off. Let something else come up to the front. That's a priority for that week.
So powerful. Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. DJ. Before I let you go, because I know that you're super busy, how can we tap into some more of your resources? What's out there? What can you give us?
I can give you a lot. So first, you can go to my website at deborahjohnsonblake.com to see all the things that I can do to help you become your best self. You can follow me on social media at D Johnson Blake, especially on Tuesdays. That's what I call Time Management Tuesdays. And you can see the Time Management Diva in action, giving you a video, maybe, 2 to 5 minutes. You can listen to me while you're in your car, listen to me on your lunch break. I know everyone's busy, but that's how I like to empower people on social. So that's LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, X. Just, hey, I'll give you some tips to help you be your best self.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Dr. DJ. And I look forward to staying connected with you in future.
Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Human Side of Business podcast. I'm glad you could join us. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to stay updated with our latest content, make sure to visit our website. The link can be found in the episode description, where you can subscribe to the podcast, sign up for our newsletter, and learn more about our whole person leadership services. Sounds interesting? Explore the Whole Person Leadership Cohort by Intuitive Performance, a unique program that offers unparalleled support to managers on every step of their leadership journey. Our program features evidence-based assessments, workbooks, group coaching, and interactive learning experiences to help you level up your leadership skills. Reach out today to apply to one of our upcoming cohorts. Until next time, take care and stay curious.